morning, everyone. The topic that is assigned to me is the role of technological change. So, what is technological change? Technological change, defined by economists as a shift to a new production function resulting from an increase in the efficiency of a product or process. It is the main source of economic growth. In strictly economic terms, technological change is presented as a positive transformation that often arrives in waves of relative innovations. Geographers, in contrast, are more cautious about technological change because they are also concerned with social and environmental impacts. The rise of patent activity and associated search for technology rents has led to the differential impacts of intellectual property in cities and in regions. So, in short, technological change is now where the process of invention, innovation, and diffusion, dun kapaloob yung tatlo sa technological change. We have elements of technological change. Nabanggit ko na kanina yung invention, innovation, and diffusion. So, ang una ay invention. Invention is the creation of new products. Dito tayo sa invention, ito yung process na gumagawa tayo ng bagong products. For example, we have yung pag-communicate natin sa mga kamag-anak natin na nasa ibang lugar. Di ba dati ay ang unang na-invent ay yung telephone. So, yun yung ginawa nilang invention na new products. Next is the innovation. Ito naman ang innovation naman is the application of the invention for the first time. Ibig sabihin they are innovating the invention that they did. So, kunyari yung telephone ang ginawa nila. Nag-isip sila ng mga bagong paraan para nila ma-upgrade yung kanilang new product. Yung product na in-invent nila, yung telephone, kunyari. Di ba sa panahon ngayon, hindi na kakaunti na lang sa atin ang gumagamit ng telephone. So, kasi nag-upgrade na siya, yung telephone naging cellphone, tapos yung cellphone natin ngayon, hindi nadadala mo na siya kahit saan. Tsaka marami ka nang nagagawa. Hindi katulad dati na ang nagagawa lang natin ay tawag lang. Ganon. Ngayon, pwede ka nang gumamit ng internet, pwede ka nang mag-Facebook, mag-text, ganon. Yun ang innovation, yung ina-upgrade natin yung ating product. Next naman is diffusion. How fast others begin to adapt the innovation. Kung gaano, sa diffusion, ito yung process na parang gaano kabilis na na-adapt ng mga tao yung innovation na kanilang binuo. Di ba ngayon ay parang kokonti na lang yung mga tao na gumagamit ng telephone. So, parang mas marami silang natutunan. Mas marami na yung gumagamit ngayon ng cellphone kaysa sa telephone. Kasi, yun nga, nakicarry mo yung cellphone kahit saan ka magpunta. Hindi gaya ng telephone na sa bahay lang talaga siya. Yan. Next is Microprocessors and Telecommunication. The microprocessors is the central unit of computer system that performs arithmetic and logic operations, which generally include adding, subtracting, transferring numbers from one area to another, and comparing two numbers. It's often known simply as a processor, a central processing unit, or as a logic chip. It's essentially the engine of the brain of the computer that goes into motion when the computer is switched on. It's a programmable, multi-purpose device that incorporates the function of a CPU or yung central processing unit on a single IC or yung integrated circuit. Yung microprocessor, yun daw po yung ginagamit para sa yun yung central unit ng computer. Ito yung nagpe-perform ng mga arithmetic, yung nag-add ng numbers, so subtract, transferring one number to another area, parang ganon. Siya yung, lang siya, kaya tinawag siyang micro kasi maliit lang po siya na device na nasa parts ng computer. Next is the telecommunications. Telecommunications or telecom refers to the process of exchanging information such as voice, data, and video transmissions via electronic technologies like telephone, wired and wireless, microwave communications, fiber optic satellites, radio and television broadcasting, and the internet. When more than two telecommunication, transmitting, and receiving stations are used in conjunction with each other, it is referred to as telecommunications network. The largest example of a telecom network would be the entire internet. Smaller examples with the networks like wide area networks, telephone, and cellular first responder communication system, and broadcast networks. Ang telecommunication, ito po yung ginagamit natin para makipagpalitan tayo ng information gamit yung ating voice data, video transmission gamit ang electronic technologies katulad ng telephones. O kaya ay yung mga radio, television, yun na examples ng mga telecommunications na ginagamit natin para naipaabot yung mga information na kailangan. Next is the Internet and the World Wide Web. The Internet is commonly called a network or network of networks. It is the infrastructure that connects networks across the world, including both the hardware or yung computers, servers, cables, and more, and the software. When you use the app on your phone, this is an example. When you use an app on your phone, send an instant message, transfer a file directly from one computer to another via file transfer protocol, or simply send an email, you are using the internet but not necessarily the web. So, ang internet po yung ginagamit natin, yung ginagamit natin para magkaroon tayo para makapag-transfer tayo ng file sa ibang computer o kaya sa ibang phone. Yun po yung internet. Ang web naman po, the web is just another avenue for transmitting data over the internet. In this case, by entering a string of characters called a uniform resource locator o yung URL into a browser. This URL describes the location of a document written in hypertext markup language or yung HTML, full of the links and silly cat GIFs you know and love. Ang web naman ay yung nagtatransfer din siya ng data over the internet. Pero ang ginagamit natin ay we are using the URL dito sa web. Sa internet kasi sa ano yon sa yung parang yung computer to computer, parang ganun yung pagkakaintindi ko. So the internet linking your computer to another computers around the world is a way of transporting content. The web is a protocol that lets you use that content or contribute your own. The web running on the mostly invisible internet is what you see and click in your computer browser. Yun nga daw, magkaiba daw ang internet sa web. Kasi ang internet, yung nililink mo yung computer mo sa another computer, kahit saan sa mundo. Ganon. Ang web naman ay yung siya yung parang naglilet sa'yo or yung pumapayag na gamitin mo yung content na yon. Yon. Next is transportation technology. What is transportation technology? So transportation technology refers to tools and machines used to solve problems or improve conditions in respect to the movement of people and goods. In the following, I will scratch the surface by providing some practical examples of the recent technological journey of the transportation industry, touching as well the frontiers of the sector, handling, monitoring, and warehousing. First, all the different means to transport with their evolution can be considered transportation technology. For example, from ancient caravans and horse, drawn carriages to trains, cars and trucks. Uh, Next is from sailing ships to steamboats to ferries to modern cruise liners and container ships. From zeppelins to aircraft to rockets, which bring satellites into the orbit, to space shuttles, from pipelines to hyperloops, from human maneuvered to unmanned vehicles, etc. Yun nga yung example, yung ang ng technology transportation, yung pagbabago, pagbabago ng mga transportation natin, yung technological change sa transportation. Yun halimbawa, yung dati 'di ba, ang sinasakyan ng tao, horse para makarating sa isang lugar papunta sa isang lugar, para papunta ka sa destination mo. Hanggang sa naging siya, yung karwahe, tapos naging tren, tapos nagkaroon na ng mga cars and nagkaroon na din ng mga trucks. Tapos sa sa mga barko, dati lang, yung bangka lang na pangisda. Ngayon, meron ng pagkatapos ng barko na pangisda, nagkaroon naman ng steamboats, tapos nagkaroon ng ferries, nagkaroon ng modern cruise liners, yung mga pwede ka nang pumunta ng ibang bansa na pwede kang sumakay sa cruise, ganon. Yung sa mga barko na bago na siya. Naging modern na siya. And sumunod sa modern cruise liners, yun naman ay yung mga container ships. Yan. Infrastructure is transport technology too, including roads, rail tracks, bridges, tunnels, parking areas, ports and airports, and so forth. Today, we have entered the era of smart infrastructure. Today, infrastructure can gather and share data, for example, and is creating opportunities for improvements, new tools, and new business models. So, ang infrastructure ay isa rin daw na transportation technology. Katulad daw ng roads, rail tracks, bridges, tunnels, parking areas, ports, at saka airports. Next is to managing the global marketplace. An international business is any firm that engages in international trade or investment. A firm does not have to become a multinational enterprise, investing directly in operation in other countries to engage in international business. Although multinational enterprises are international businesses, all a firm has to do is export or import products from other countries. As the world shifts toward a truly integrated global economy, more firms, both large and small, are becoming international business. What does this shift toward the global economy mean for managers when an international business? As the organizations increasingly engage in cross-border trade and investment, it means managers need to recognize that the task of managing an international business differs from that of managing a pure domestic business in many ways, and at the most fundamental level, the differences arise from the simple fact that countries are different countries, differ in their cultures, political systems, economic systems, legal systems, and levels of economic development. Despite, despite all the talk about the emerging global village and despite the trend toward globalization of markets and production. So, sa global marketplace, sa global marketplace, ang uh, nag-import daw or nag-export ng mga product papunta sa ibang bansa, yung isang bansa. An international business must decide where the world to site its production activities to minimize cost and maximize value added. Then it must decide how to coordinate and control its globally dispersed production activities, which, as we shall see the later in the book, it's not a trivial problem. An international business also must decide which foreign markets to enter and which to avoid. So, sa global markets daw, dapat daw, we must decide kung saang foreign country daw dapat tayo mag-enter. Dapat po pinag-iisipan daw yun. At alam din dapat natin kung anong foreign country yung dapat nating iwasan. So, that's all my report. Thank you for listening.